The National News Desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
Take this as a lesson. Don't bet against the House Republicans.
The one big, beautiful bill makes its way out of the House, but what are its chances of making its way to the president's desk? A soon-to-be engaged couple killed in Washington, D.C. Why this wasn't, according to authorities, just a random act of violence in our nation's capital. And then blood donation always in need. Why the upcoming summer season could put additional strain on the reserve supply across the country. This is the National News Desk, America's News. Now, I'm Dee Dee Gatton, and we begin tonight a jubilation in the nation's capital and tragedy nearby outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in D.C. Early this morning, President Donald Trump's vision for a one big, beautiful bill passes in the House, and we will have more on that in just a moment. But right now, an anti-Israel activist is in court facing multiple murder charges, which may soon include hate crimes and terrorism charges after two Israeli embassy staffers were shot and killed last night. Here is a photo of them right here. This tragic scene unfolded just after 9 o'clock outside an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum. Again, in our nation's capital, investigators say 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez of Chicago approached a group of four and opened fire on them with a handgun, killing these two young Israeli embassy aides. He then, we are told, entered the museum and was detained by event security. Once handcuffed, witnesses reported hearing the man shout, quote, I did it for Gaza. Israel's foreign minister identified the victims, I should say, Yaron Leshensky and Sarah Milgram.
I will say this. We are a resilient people. The people of Israel are resilient people, and the people of the United States of America are resilient people. Together we won't be afraid. Together we'll stand, and we're going to overcome moral depravity of people who think that they're going to achieve political gains through murder.
The two killed set to be engaged in Israel. The National News Desk, Jay Kor, spoke with a local synagogue leader who shared a call with Sarah just last night.
They were passionate about making sure that our Jewish community really upheld its values.
Joshua Maxey, the executive director of Washington's LGBTQ synagogue, worked closely with Sarah Milgram and knew her boyfriend, Yaron Leshensky.
It just saddens me that these two bright souls were taken away from us in this tragic manner, and certainly through violence, which goes against everything that they stood for.
According to her LinkedIn page, Milgram, a University of Kansas graduate who held multiple master's degrees, was a Jewish educator working on fostering religious unity among those divided around the world. Leshensky, an Israeli citizen from Germany, focused on advocating for interfaith dialogue and understanding.
His dream was to become a diplomat.
Nissim Madzgin is the Dean of Humanities at Hebrew University in Jerusalem, where Yaron studied.
For him, he saw religion as one of the cornerstones that actually can create new bridges between Israel and its neighbors.
These brilliant young staffers were also in love.
And they just meshed so well, and you could tell that they really, really loved each other.
Maxey tells me he will always carry in his heart Sarah and Yaron's example of believing in inclusion, bridging gaps, and peace building. For now, the memory most dear, a telephone call last night with Sarah only hours before she and Yaron were killed.
You know, the last thing that I said to her was, I hope I get to see your smiling face before you go to Israel. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I will cherish that phone call.
Stay with us as we continue to track developments on this horrific shooting throughout the night. We will have coverage for you both on air and online at thenationaldesk.com. In another shooting earlier today outside of Washington, D.C., authorities say security guards shot a woman at the gates of the CIA headquarters. Officers say she did not respond to commands to stop. The woman is alive and is being treated at the hospital with an upper body wound. No other details have been released.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214, with one answering present. The bill is passed.
After weeks of wrangling, House Republicans passed their big, beautiful bill, a budget resolution full of the president's priorities. National correspondent Matt Gelka reports from Washington on what's in this bill and what comes next.
Today, the House has passed generational, truly nation-shaping legislation.
House Republican leadership took a victory lap after the chamber passed the big, beautiful bill by one vote.
The bill is passed.
House Speaker Mike Johnson delivered on the goal to get something passed by Memorial Day, but getting to this point was anything but smooth. Johnson, along with the help of the president, was able to unite different factions of Republicans opposed to various sticking points in the bill.
Take this as a lesson. Don't bet against the House Republicans.
The bill includes a number of Trump and GOP priorities, including nearly $4 trillion in tax cuts, a majority of that taken up by extending the tax cuts from Trump's first term. It also includes no taxes on tips or overtime, a campaign promise from the president. There's billions for defense spending and southern border money while rolling back Biden-era green energy tax credits. The bill changes SNAP benefits and Medicaid by mandating work requirements for both programs. Work requirements for Medicaid would start at the end of 2026, and a large number of people could be kicked off of both programs.
We should have work requirements for all welfare programs, able-bodied people, not people in wheelchairs or people who are unable to work. And we should have had those yesterday.
Democrats will likely use the bill early and often out on the campaign trail heading into the 2026 midterms.
The GOP tax scam represents an assault on the economy, an assault on health care, an assault on nutritional assistance, an assault on tax fairness, and an assault on fiscal responsibility.
The bill is still far from becoming a law. Over in the Senate, a handful of Republican senators have already signaled they're uneasy about Medicaid cuts. On Truth Social, the president praised the House's work and told the Senate to get to work and send the bill to him as soon as possible. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
2 dead and at least 8 injured in a San Diego military neighborhood after a Cessna 550 aircraft crashed early this morning during heavy fog. You can see the smoke right here, the fire. This crash set about 15 homes and several vehicles on fire. This here, the aftermath. Nearly 100 people had to evacuate, multiple homes destroyed. Fire officials say jet fuel spilled all over the place.
The airplane hit through a wall, several trees, into one home, and then continued further down several homes. My understanding from our fire department is as people were evacuating and escaping, stepping on jet fuel that led to some of those those injuries. And on top of that, some respiratory issues as a result of that as well.
And continuing coverage in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, the prosecution called their 16th witness in the last week and a half, the latest being a computer forensics expert testifying about data taken from Cassie Ventura's laptop. The jury also heard from a makeup artist who said she knew of injuries Ventura sustained while dating Combs. She says she didn't go to the police because she feared Sean Diddy Combs. Combs has pleaded not guilty and denies all allegations. This trial expected to continue for several weeks. And new tonight, Oklahoma will not be able to open the nation's first religious public charter school. A 4-4 tie vote at the Supreme Court effectively dooms the state's proposal to launch St. Isidore of Seville Catholic virtual school. This all means that the Oklahoma Supreme Court's ruling that the idea is unconstitutional will stand. The ruling was applauded by Oklahoma's Attorney General.
Religious liberty is preserved in the state of Oklahoma. Parents can teach their children the faith of their fathers and mothers, and schools can teach, let's hope, reading competency, math competency, science, and social studies.
New details. The Trump administration Harvard feud hitting new levels today as the administration is now blocking the university from enrolling new international students and has ordered existing international students at the university to transfer or lose their legal status. The Department of Homeland Security revoking Harvard student and exchange visitor program certification, saying the school leadership has created an unsafe atmosphere that fosters violence and anti-Semitism, as well as working with the CCP. Harvard called the move unconstitutional and will likely sue. Then in California, a federal judge handed the Trump administration their latest setback, blocking the administration from revoking international students' visas. This ruling is a nationwide injunction. The State Department has repeatedly said that judges do not have the authority to dictate foreign policy, and these kinds of rulings are judicial overreach. The Supreme Court already heard a similar challenge from the administration against a district judge. In another ruling against the administration today, a federal judge is blocking the president's executive order that calls for the dismantling of the Education Department. The judge also orders the agency to reinstate employees who were fired during mass layoffs in March. The judge says the scale of the layoffs would likely cripple the department. The Trump administration did not immediately comment on the ruling. Coming up next here on the National News Desk, hurricane season starts in just 10 days. Just how bad of a season can we expect before it ends? And another change is ordered by the health department for all new COVID vaccines. What Big Pharma now has to say before patients get their next shot. And then later, some schools regulate how students can use AI in the classroom. Now one state is regulating how teachers can use AI to grade exams. Right now, outside of Dallas, Texas, heavy storms bringing the threat of damaging winds and large hail, possibly in excess of 2 inches in diameter. As you take a look at the system right here behind me, these storms will definitely likely persist southeastward into the southern plains, headed towards the Mississippi Valley later tonight. As well, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is predicting an above-average hurricane season. NOAA says they expect 13 to 19 named storms by the end of November. The average season has 14 storms. This year's forecast predicts 6 to 10 hurricanes, with 3 to 5 becoming major storms. It is worth noting here, only 5 times in the last 20 years has there been more hurricanes than NOAA has predicted. 4 times the number was below their lowest estimates, according to the National Weather Service. And turning to Capitol Hill, California's new rule to ban the sale of All new gas-powered cars by 2035 could soon be blocked. Today, the U.S. Senate passed a House resolution overturning that rule, sending the legislation to President Trump's desk. He is expected to sign it. The Senate also passed 2 other resolutions to block rules to cut tailpipe emissions in California. Democrats say the GOP is doing the bidding of the oil and gas industry. But as Republicans are passing these bills, some in the Democratic Party are saying the Democrats are losing a messaging battle. The National News Desk's Angela Brown explains how and where the party is having an identity crisis.
Was this Hillary Clinton's deplorables moment, part 2?
First of all, don't be a handmaiden to the patriarchy, which kind of eliminates every woman on the other side of the aisle, except for very few.
The former secretary taking a sharp dig at Republican women this month. Voters Democrats may need to win the White House again.
There definitely is a problem with their messaging, and they really have to fix it now.
Some Democratic leaders appear to be taking that warning seriously. This week's Time magazine article exposing what some Democrats are saying behind closed doors. They largely agree they need to recenter economic issues in their messaging and develop what some are calling a patriotic populism to counter Trump. Many moderate Democrats want to sideline activist groups that pressured elected officials to take unpopular positions, end quote. Political scientist Dr. Sharon Austin says many voters now associate the Democratic Party with identity politics before economic issues.
They feel that the Democratic Party, is only for promoting the issues of concern to people of color, to gay people, to trans people, and the white working class feels that they are being neglected.
Independent Senator Bernie Sanders has criticized Democrats in the past about focusing too much on identity politics, and this week he didn't hold back.
And then you get to what we call identity politics.
Yeah.
That you're black, you're wonderful, you're tremendous, you're gay, you're the greatest human being on earth.
Yeah.
And rather than say, what do you stand for?
Democrats have a deep hole to dig out of. The Associated Press Newark Center for Public Affairs research found that only about 1/3 of Democrats are very optimistic or even somewhat optimistic about their party's future. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Going by the numbers now, sales of previously owned homes dropped in April, falling 0.5% from March. That is also down 2% compared with April of last year. These numbers are from National Association of Realtors, marking the slowest April pace since 2009. It comes as the average 30-year mortgage in the U.S. rose to its highest level since mid-February this week, reaching 6.86%, according to mortgage buyer Freddie Mac. The Make America Healthy Again Commission released their first report today, analyzing what is behind chronic disease in children nationwide. The commission, established by President Donald Trump in February, is headed by HHS Secretary RFK Jr., and they have identified 4 major indicators of childhood illness, including poor diet, environmental chemicals, lack of physical activity, and chronic stress. The commission says they will be developing a comprehensive strategy to take on these problems within the next 4 months. Meantime, the FDA is requiring Pfizer and Moderna to change warnings on the risk of a rare heart condition on COVID-19 vaccine labels. The agency said males between the ages of 16 and 25 have the highest estimated incidence of myocarditis and pericarditis. These cause inflammation in and around the heart. Previous labels included the risk, but age ranges differed. Research has shown COVID-19 vaccines are safe, and some studies found the COVID-19 infection carries a higher risk of developing the conditions. There is an urgent need right now for donors to meet a critical shortage in our nation's blood supply. Liz Bona shares why this time of year is especially challenging to meet community needs.
Hey there, everybody. This urgent need coming from several things that really influence local and national blood supply. One of those, recent storms and turbulent weather in many parts of the country. This Kentucky tornado damage stops blood collection. It also brings people into area hospitals where the need for blood is great. Those donating blood here at Ohio's TQL Stadium, such as Richard Hunt, say,
You realize how important it is. You realize people need this, absolutely. And without donating,
how would you fix the problems?
The start of summer travel, where regular donors often go on vacation beginning this Memorial Day weekend, also ups the need for donors.
Oftentimes we do see a little bit of a lag in donors, so we want to make sure that people remember that the need is still there. We do still need blood.
The end of the school year often leads to a dip as well in our blood supply.
We have drives at our local high schools all throughout the year, every single day, so we're losing those during the summer.
All of this, of course, going on at a time where more people hit the road, leading to an increase in accidents and injuries that ups the need for emergency blood and blood product donations. These donations support cancer care and scheduled or emergency surgeries. It's one of the reasons Brandon Lewis says he donates blood all year, whenever possible.
I understand, especially nowadays, blood is certainly at a premium, so I want to do my best, especially since my blood can go everywhere, to do my duty as a member of the community.
Now, our blood supply is supported by about 5% of the population who choose to donate, so new donors always needed. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
So to come, ICE raid arrests, the federal operation near Seattle resulting in more than a dozen in ICE custody. We're back in 90 seconds. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. From Ohio students urging state leaders to reconsider the use of artificial intelligence to grade state exams, to Tennessee, where farmers are still dealing with Hurricane Helene's devastation. We're taking the pulse of America. But we start near Seattle, Washington, where ICE made 17 arrests at a local business.
All witnesses could do was stand back and record.
Hey, no firmen nada, pídanos a un abogado.
As ICE agents escorted people into this bus. ICE tells us they were executing a federal search warrant for employment violations at the Eagle Beverage Products facility in Kent.
We don't know where they took her.
We had hoped to hear if the company had any sort of response to the allegations here by ICE. An employee here told me today they didn't have any comment, and I didn't hear back when I emailed the company. This is the latest workplace raid in Washington since the Trump administration ramped up immigration enforcement. A raid in Bellingham in April led to 37 people being detained.
We have found that it is very robotic in its grading because it's an AI, and It doesn't want any personalities.
A group of West Claremont 8th graders have been researching how AI evaluates students' essays on state exams and how it impacts their grade. Their investigation found while it catches grammatical mistakes and likes big words, it doesn't always take into account creativity and personality. Teacher Mary Hufford says they taught students how to write specifically for the grading of these state tests. She says 84% of students saw growth in their writing portion this year.
When we're teaching people how to write, we want them to write for a variety of audiences and purposes. We don't want to teach students just to write to please a computer.
The students recently met with State Representative Adam Byrd to present their findings.
Well, I think the evidence that they present is compelling and it needs to be heard. I think that Ohio needs to seriously consider a change.
Students are scheduled to meet with members of the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce over Zoom Thursday.
What are you hoping comes out of their research and the conversation tomorrow with the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce?
Change. I really would like to see the state reevaluate its assessment system.
The field that we had ready to plant strawberries on washed away. When I say washed away, I don't mean it just went over it. I mean, it washed 4 feet of topsoil off of 17 acres.
What you're seeing on screen are pictures of Scott's strawberry field taken at the same spot before and after the flood.
For a couple of days, I really didn't know what to do or how to do it. But everybody in the family, we all work together, the guys, the farm.
Even though this year has been tough, it's loyal customers like Lucinda Floden who keep it alive.
It's a local business that I support, and I love that they're here. And after all the rain and everything that happened last year, I'm going to have to buy more strawberries.
President Trump wants to get rid of the penny. Now we're getting an idea of when that transition might begin. We'll have more on that in just a moment. When's the last time you've used a penny? Well, the Treasury Department says they may have ordered their last batch of penny blanks this month. Once that order is finished by the U.S. Mint, no more pennies will be in circulation. President Trump signed an executive order earlier this year getting rid of the penny, saying it costs more to mint them than they're worth. Existing pennies will remain legal currency, but without new pennies, cash transactions will then begin to round to the nearest nickel price. And that's going to do it for us for this edition of the National News Desk. We do invite you to join us again this evening as we look into the rise of anti-Semitism in the wake of last night's deadly shooting of 2 Israeli embassy staffers. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. Thanks for watching. And again, we'll see you tonight at 10.